Okay, welcome back. You're watching Prime Hour on My Media Prime. We yesterday saw Professor Maurice Kamto hold meetings with the members of Stand Up for Cameroon, led by Madame Edith Walla, equally meeting with members of the Modekna Party, civil society leaders like Alice Barrister, Alice Nkom. And we equally know that Professor Maurice Kamto held meetings with the national president of the USDP party in Yaoundé, and is still meeting with other political and civil society actors to mobilize themselves for the call to oust the president of the Republic, His Excellency President Paul Biya, through a popular uprising that is built to take place on September the 22nd, 2020 across the national territory. What is the political weight of most of these parties met? I start with you. Atem.
Yes. You see, Mr. Liu, as a Pan-Africanist, I don't believe in opposition parties under the context of democracy that we see in a lot of these African countries.
Okay.
You see, when things are normal, we can apply the democratic measures or systems or parties in place to actually contest or going in as well as to oppose or to want to become the president of a country. But in the current context in which we are, I don't believe in opposition parties, because it's only there to create more division. You see, where we are today is as a result of a divided people. And because these are strategies that people understand that if you want to rule a people, you have to divide them. So I don't believe in opposition parties. And I want to also say this: let there be no youth. Let your blood does not want the life to keep any politician in power. Let me tell you something. It is leaders and shepherds that go out to fight and defend their sheep. So you don't have any place to go out and protest for any leader to stay in power who will not respect you or has not given you anything. You see, you only do to people what they have done to you. If these leaders have not done anything to you, don't sacrifice your blood, because none of them know you. When tomorrow they get into power, after having sacrificed the lives and the blood of their own grandchildren, you will still have no place. So what I'm saying here is that anybody who wants to stand behind any political party, let the heads and the leaders of those political parties go out and protest. That is how it's supposed to be, because we have seen how our youths have been mortgaged, their destiny has been trampled upon, where you have open demons that are roaming the street, where you ask yourself that this, it simply means that the light of the house has gone off. But what I'm saying here is that a time has come where, Mr. Leo, we need to take very drastic measures. A time will come where we will say, youth go out. But I'm saying that this is not the time where it is under the context of a party that wants in its own interest and calls for people to go out, whether it's calling for a national protest. I am saying that let the blood of no youth preserve your life for tomorrow, because tomorrow you should sit in those places. So don't go and sacrifice your life for the leaders who are in power today. I'm giving you as a clear example. They were kept there because of the lives of youths that have been lost in the past. And these are the youths that go out to steal votes, go out to vote, go out to carry all the campaign. They are all youth. So let your life not be a sacrificial lamb, because you are not a shepherd and you are not a leader. So it's not your place to go out. But I would say that when it comes to obtain the sovereignty of your state, it is a time where the youth population that makes the majority in Cameroon and in Africa, I would say that go out. Like you see in Belarus, they cannot crack out. When you see where injustice becomes an apparent situation in a society where people take it like a normal day-to-day life, that is when you should be able to stand against injustice. But don't go and risk your life under another party that is still going to take the same place like the party which is ruling today. And I keep saying that, Mr. Leo, CPDM has not won, and CPDM is not winning. You don't win by fighting yourself. You win by comparing with other developing nations. We want to see CPDM that has led Cameroon for many years emerge Cameroon to that 2035 that the head of state is talking about. Let me tell you something. The GDP of Cameroon in 2017 was about 4.5%. Today we are talking of 0.1%. And the target of the 2035 emergence was supposed to be at a GDP of 8%. Cameroon is plunging itself into economic crisis. Poverty rate is only increasing. How do we emerge? So this is a time where we must think twice. The youth, we need you people for future purposes. We need you. Don't go out and risk your life, because it is you that we need tomorrow when we need a genuine change that will come to Cameroon, where it will claim its own sovereignty and it will have its own currency. So preserve your life for that.
Okay, that is Sandrine Atem Ebako talking there to the youth of Cameroon. Do you see, say, in same line with him, Prince Joel? We've seen the president of the CRM, Professor Maurice Kamto, meeting with some of the politicians in Douala here yesterday, and also we know that he met with some of them in Yaoundé. What weight can we see these political platforms, Moderna, PAP, stand, what weight are they bringing to join forces with the CRM?
Mr. Leo, that is almost the same question that I'm answering somewhere. First of all, I'm not a politician.
Okay.
But given that I observe what happens in the terrain every day, I think that a majority of some of these political parties, stricto sensu, may not have been known in the field, because there are areas, I like saying things with evidences. There are areas where you go in Cameroon, but for the fact that the CRM came some years behind, it's a young political party. I'm not like, I know that some politicians will take what I'm saying somehow, but there are areas where you go, there are two ballot papers. You have the SDF and the CPDM. You don't have a political party that is limited to Boya, a political party that is known maybe in Manfe, a political party that is known maybe in Bafoussam. There's an example I gave here, Mr. Liu, some time ago. Look, take an example like the UDC. Take it or leave it, the UDC's strong weight is a noon. And that is why everything that is happening with the Sultan is the fact that he wants his mayorship in where he is. Even if in Misaje, in Menchum, in Akwaya, UDC is maybe represented, he has it there. Now, when you look at it at the global level, what impact now with that party have should the party be in alliance with another political party? It may be a bit difficult, very difficult, because people do not identify with that party in that area. And some of these political parties who are, because take it or leave it as of now, the talk of the day, social media, discussions in beer parlors, in houses, is Professor Maurice Kamto. Now there are political parties who want to be recognized, because I saw, you look on social media, all of our photos, we have, it's recognition. But do we recognize with an individual, like he was saying, by risking the lives of Cameroonians? It is very true that when you look at maybe the electoral system in Cameroon, it is very true that to an extent, it may be difficult to vote out the president through the ballot box. But you go to the street. If you want to go to the streets, then you lead. I think somewhere, I had the privilege two days ago, I was sitting with Celestine Germain, with whom I shared more than 3 hours, who has become what the CRM thinks that is not a good disciple. But he told me things. He told me, Prince, this leg you're seeing, I had a bullet entered inside the leg. Prince, I spent 8 months with Maurice Kamto, and we were in the same prison. But I feel that we should not go to the street to take power. That's what he told me. No, but now when you look at it now, the professor believes that people should go to the street on the 22nd of September. And when you look at the reaction already from the Minister of Interior, Paul Atangaji, and the recent communique of today that are subjective to 3 governors, where he believes, and it's true, that are the stronghold of the CRM. Because I doubt whether in the north people will come out for the CRM. I doubt. But they may. That's what I want to conclude, because I'm not within the party. But you see, he addressed a communique to the governor of the Littoral, Samuel Ivan Hadibois, that of the West, Fonkam, Azu.
No.
Our Fonka. yes, and that of the Northwest, Adolphe Lele L'Afrique. The objective of this thing, of the communique, is to ensure that nothing happens within their areas of command. It already tells you now that from there, the governors are going to copy the divisional officers and the SDOs.
Yeah.
And subsequently, Mr. Liu, I'm in line with your question.
The three governors, we have that of Central, Littoral, and West Region.
Of West Region, thank you. Now, and the objective now, when they copy the SDOs, and who subsequently copy the DOs, and the DOs will subsequently copy all the other commissioners, commanders of their own jurisdiction, which means that any Cameroonian, for instance, I will not go meet to the street.
No, but you go to cover.
I'll go to cover, but I'm not going to protest. Thank you for adding that. I'll go to cover. But I want to say that if the militants of the CRM believe that the president can come out through what they are doing, then it will be newsworthy, both within and without, that what happened in Mali, or what is happening in Mali, or what is happening in other countries, has happened in Cameroon. Because from what is already going, international media organs are going to spend special envoys to Cameroon with objective to see what will happen on the 22. Because repeatedly, each time the Minister of Interior comes out with a communique, apparently the CRM2 reacts on the other way. So I think that the 22 of September is a newsworthy day for Cameroonians and journalists that we are.
It's a day to make or to mark. Now, we have seen pictures. I don't know, Eli, why you did not use those pictures. Pictures of Professor Maurice Kamto with the officials of Modekna Party, officials of the CPP or Stand Up for Cameroon, officials of I'm sure USTP, Mr. Alice and Com. But when we follow the CPP as at yesterday, or Stand Up for Cameroon as at yesterday, they said that what happened was a discussion and that they were still brainstorming on it. And the USDP also came out today to say they are also in talks, trying to reason out what is happening. Though we have information that Stand Up for Cameroon has taken a position already. They are going to be live here on Thursday to give their position, to make their position clear and possibly justify why they are taking that stance. They have informed me this night that they have taken their stance already, but we saw that most of them were talking of discussion. What are they still discussing about? Are they also contemplating measuring the response, possible response from the government?
Mr. Leo, everybody who has been in this nation, who is a Cameroonian, should measure the risk of going out and that of staying at home. So I believe that these party heads are actually thinking, what benefit will it be for them as a party if they push their faithfuls to move out to support the agenda of Kamto? What would be their benefit? And in relation to my understanding, I will be sincere to say that I've always said it that when you see an opportunist from afar, you can know.
Okay.
And from every indication from the very start of Kamto's political career as a leader of a party, he has made everything possible for us to identify him as an opportunist. And he is taking advantage because one of the causes for which he expects that Cameroonians should move to the street in order to push out the president from power is the situation in the Northwest and the Southwest. That is just an opportunist position, because this crisis did not start in 2020. It started in 2016, and he went for a presidential election in 2018. Going for a presidential election in 2018 is proof enough that he does not care about the Northwesterners and the Southwesterners. And so using that as an opportunity to call for the people to go out to the street is a no position, which I want to be sincere to tell every Cameroonian that went out on the street is a major mistake that you are about to make. Why? Because I have seen what it means to go out on the streets and meet with guns and bullets and meet with tear gas and all that. If it was only tear gas, it would have been okay, because we can manage. But I will be sincere to tell you that what you will meet are guns, because we had experienced that before. One thing that I looked at this, I asked the question, why is it that is the 22nd of September that he chose? Because I remember in 2017, the 22nd of September was a day that was so historic to the Anglophones, where they went out in their numbers all over the Northwest and the Southwest to actually show solidarity with the others, that okay, we are not actually being treated well in this particular nation. We need a change. He is bringing the 22nd of September again. To us, it is now a bad memory. And when you bring that day and we think of what is happening in the Northwest and Southwest right now, you are not encouraging us in any way. And so, Mr. Leo, I will be sincere. I will say this. Mr. Kamto and his team, I don't know what they are discussing about. The political parties that are negotiating with him, they might be looking at the weight of issues, say, okay, if I get to join hands with this guy and finally he succeeds in achieving his goal, I might end up having a position. So, like Prince said, they are unpopular parties who are trying to make themselves popular.
Okay.
And so, if you look at it, you will discover that that's just the only thing some of them want to gain from that particular discussions that they are having and negotiations they are making is just popularity.
Okay. Now, rumors already are circulating that the ruling party, its militants, also behind closed doors are mobilizing for a possible showdown should anybody come out. I don't know what are you.
Mr. Leo, briefly, I spoke with somebody who is one of the super males in Douala here, actually of New Bell. He says, he told me, should people come out that day, his own area, which is New Bell, he has already successfully mobilized 50,000 people who are supposed to also accompany in the move, and the objective is to counteract anything. Now, given, if you know the previous happenings in New Bell, what has been ongoing in New Bell, because I'm saying that some of us, we don't stay with what people see on social media. We do other. So there are already people, like you put it, who are already saying that should you come out, even before the police comes out, we will take it. So it's not going to be easy.
Such a situation may turn so sour and regrettable for the community. Atem.
Yes, you see, Mr. Liu, the kind of politicians we have, especially in most of the African countries, are very crooked politicians who will carry youths to a certain level and then enter into an office and close the door at the detriment of those youths. And then secondly, we should not fail to understand also that we the African democratic nations that are practicing so-called democracy have a system which is called the regentocracy, which says that the places of decision making is given to the elders, and then the youths are only reduced to the level of compliance. You see, so looking at the context in where we are in Cameroon today, I would think that it is not fair, because if we are looking at the context of why maybe the other head of the political opposition party is calling out for a national protest, but in Cameroon there are 253 political parties. And 90% of these political parties are opened and created by the government and given to certain individuals and sponsor them behind, so that Cameroon should look as if it is practicing democracy. So no youth, listen to me very well, no youth should give his life for a leader or a shepherd when it is the vice versa for the shepherd to fend for you. So what am I simply trying to say here is that we must be able to understand that the political parties which we have in Cameroon are not, there's none of them that is out for the good for the Cameroonian population. We have one party which is a CPDM that has been since almost 36 to 38 years. Each time election is conducted, is only one party that wins. Should it not ring a bell on your head to let you understand that these other 253 other political parties are merely a camouflage that are not there to actually defend? Because in a country like this that really says it wants change, like I used to say that Cameroonians are still not ready for a change, there should be no need for 253 political parties. There should just be, if it's too much, it's only 3, where the population rallies behind one party and decide that this is a party that we are going to decide to charter the way forward for the Cameroonians and to build a life and make Cameroon become a habitable place for Cameroonians. In 2017, where I saw illiteracy in the highest order, where I see the Western nation also having a hand to come and destabilize Cameroon, is when the separatist fighters saw an opportunity in the 2017 election after the plight and the cry are made on social media that go in for that election and keep all away all those political parties. Don't stand with the political party. Build one party and take that party to go and fight CPDM. Beat them in their own game. You cannot separate a country without following a democratic process. It's impossible. You should have used that opportunity in 2017, like I still say, and vote the CPDM out. That people are making noise that whatever. So Kamto's campaign, let he be at the forefront and let his party members be at the forefront. Then if the youth see that they are already gaining victory, then they can follow them behind. But I am saying that for all that we have seen from CPDM to all these other 253 political parties, it has only costed the lives of youths. Never old man goes on the street. When they say the campaign, you will not find old people on the street, you find only youths, Okada riders, taxi riders, poor people, because they think that these leaders are going to change their future. This was the same thing how you people voted and still voting the CPDM party in place. So I don't believe in opposition party. All I'm simply trying to say here is that if this leader is calling for a national campaign and the government is giving warning for people not to go out, that one I don't know what to say. But if it is a peaceful protest on certain genuine reasons, the government is not supposed to hold them. But if it's on a level where it will come and add again another insecurity and add the pains to what Cameroonians are already going through, I think that it is not a wise decision for Kamto to have taken now. Because when the Anglophone crisis started, if this leader was a leader who wanted to fight for his people, he should have supported the teachers and the lawyers who came up at that period, and should have rallied the French brothers and sisters in this other part of the world to stand in one accord with their English brother and tell the government that we want you to do this for our brothers. But they sat quiet. So all I'm saying here is that any youth who want to go out, it will be at your own detriment.
Okay, it will be at your own detriment. Good evening, Mr. Leon, panelist. If you don't compare two things, you can never know the best. Any action that can bring down this government is endorsed. There is no way this government can ever be removed by ballot box. Okay, you did not sign the message. Please, when you write, tell us who is writing and where you are writing from. This one says, my name is Satem Julius in Kumba. Let our bro and sis of the CPDM in these two regions should join and help this problem to be solved, for they are the ones holding this problem to be solved, because what they do is writing motion of support leaders instead of telling him the pains of the people. Okay, this one says, he should have withdrawn himself from the presidential elections, but he did not. So I just believe all his actions are for personal interest, not for us, the English-speaking Cameroonians. Terence is writing from Mutengen. Good evening again, Prime. Some of you adopt names and come on air and further confuse the people. You don't have positions, neither do you make proposals, yet you criticize someone who dares mind your change. Okay, Chloe is writing from Mutengen also. This one reads, good evening to you guys at the studio. Mr. Liu, your program is very interesting and educative to Cameroonians. Your guests today are very intelligent and are very outspoken and straight to the point. I really admire them. Let them keep up. Gwakletus is also writing from Mutengene. Definitely Mutengene is carrying the day today from our viewers chat. Good evening to you. I am Papu Ngole from Tombel. I stand for the motion that we should all join Kamto and change this nation. My name is Winston Churchill from Boya. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I think what Mr. Kamto is doing is really inappropriate. Personal interest should never outweigh general interest. He should not use Anglophone crisis as a stepping stone of getting a greater edge in politics. We, this one says, Cameroonians of tomorrow will go astray to lead the animal in bushes because of lack of education. Edna is writing from Ginicom, that is in Boyo Division. Greetings once more, Mr. Leo. Please, I wish to ask whether he's criticizing the move of Professor Maurice Kamto for raising the voice over the killings here in Anglophone regions as an individual who telling people not to follow. Is he a journalist or party agent? Thanks. Ronald from Bamenda. Greetings to Mr. Joel. Mr. Joel, let me turn to you. How peaceful can a peaceful manifestation meant to oust a sitting president be?
The first aspect is when you look at the word manifestation, the word that is coming after it, peaceful, doesn't go. It is a bit difficult. It's true that most political leaders always say peaceful manifestation, but at times it becomes very difficult to manifest or to go. When people come out en masse, Mr. Leo, there are always consequences. Simple examples. One, we know a prophet who left Nigeria and came to Cameroon because people were so many that went to where he was. We know the consequence was a stampede. Now, how do people come out en masse, so many, move on the streets with the objective of ousting a president? It is not to demand for certain rights to be restored. It is not to say, for instance, okay, Mr. Gio or Mr. President, Mr. Governor, we are marching because we don't have a road. We are marching because we don't have maybe good pipe or water. The objective is to oust the president. For those who are watching, like my brother Ronald from Bamenda, I'm not a politician. But I want to believe that if your history is well, what happened in Cameroon in 1984, where there was an abortive coup d'etat, will tell you that you don't oust a president that way. The consequences were enormous. Some of the ministers who are today in the Biafra regime had to go on exile in Nigeria, whose names I will not call. Some individuals who were held, the prisons they were kept inside. We were told there is a kind of a prison at Cholere, where, my brother, it is not the cell that they keep you maybe in Bamenda. It is a place that, from information we have, is that it is all inside of water. Can you spend up to 1 hour inside water? No. Imagine what will become of those who will come out on the 22nd. I'm not, don't get me wrong, that's what I'm saying. Go out. The consequences are enormous. There is no military. Read your history. The areas where people have successfully ousted presidents through the public manifestation, they had the backing of the military. Will the military in Cameroon support those who are coming on the 22nd? If then, we are waiting for it. But I want to say that, Mr. Leo, it is going to, if at all it comes to pass, because I just feel that from what is ongoing, it may not, but it may. I cannot conclude because I'm not in the mind of the person who brought the idea, and I've not spoken with him like one-on-one. But when you look at the write-ups of, when you listen to other people talk, and what they say they are backing the idea of Professor Maurice Kamto. A case in point is the Secretary General of PAP, who wrote today on his Facebook, on his page, is regretting that they held a meeting with Maurice Kamto, and every idea Kamto is saying they are for it. Same case with Moderna. If they say they are for it, it means that they are coming to the street. But the consequences, will be enormous.
Okay, the consequences may be enormous. So special greetings to you people watching us from Boya. Excuse me. especially to you. Andy Manyaka, the #1 musician in Boya, and to you, Ngong Walters Koi, greetings to you and the family. Now, the consequences, do you think people are going to have they weighed the possible consequences of their actions on that day? But when we see what the Professor Maurice Kamto is doing, meeting with all these guys, is this a direct response to the Minister of Territorial Administration, who keeps cautioning that there are grave dangers ahead, we are not going to tolerate this, while he is giving out his instructions or warnings? Professor Maurice Kamto, on his part, keeps multiplying efforts at bringing political forces together.
Mr. Leo, that's the job of a politician, to play the game as best as he can. But I want to say that Atanganji is not a politician. He is a he is a man that believes in practical crackdown. And from what I have seen so far, in his ability to create chaos, or let me use the word terror, I should be announcing to any political party who is actually rioting behind Kamto that the risk is going to be high. Many people don't understand, maybe because they have not actually faced guns. I had some youths actually talking, and some were actually having a bonus to tell Tangaji, I'm not afraid of you. We are going to go out on the 22nd. Wow. I said, this is very courageous. I wish that Cameroonians could get to that point where they could use this courage and do what is best with. This is not the time, and you don't announce these kind of things. The moment it is announced, already it is being prepared for. And the preparation means that it will be cracked down at the highest level. You see, what makes me afraid is based on my experiences. I'm not talking from maybe just fear. I'm talking from my experiences. What I've seen as a result of going out to walk on the streets. Back in 1992, we saw how we were shut down. Coming in our recent times, back in 2017, up to present date in the Northwest, people are suffering because of going out on the street. And so, Mr. Leo, I can't actually want to encourage any young Cameroonian anywhere, because I will be a fool to deceive you. But I am not one, so I'm not going to deceive. And I want to tell Cameroonians that if you look at what is happening, if Kamto actually wants to do what he's doing, let him bring his children, his wife, let them be the ones to stand in front, because he is preserving the lives of his kids to put the lives of other people's kids in danger, because he is planning for a better future for them. And thinking, you people are busy thinking he's fighting for you. He's not fighting for anybody. He's fighting for himself, and he's fighting for his children. We are not in one way discouraging Cameroonians. If you want to go out, it's a nice thing. Measure your power with the military on the street on the 22nd. It is going to be a good experience. I will not go out and watch it on TV, because I know that people like Joe want to cover. When you go and cover it, I only watch it on TV.
We are all ready to cover on the 22nd of September.
That will be a good thing. I will sit by my screen and watch, because instead of going out to maybe face a stray bullet, or maybe tear gas enter my nostrils, or maybe suffer molestation from the hands of a police or a gendarme, I better sit in my house, because I know how these guys react.
Okay, you know how these guys react. Special greetings to you too. Our very good friend, singer Otto, who works with the Biaka University Institute in Boya. 20 years of from how do they say it? They say they want to the ability to be different. Yes, that's how they say. Good evening to you and to all the staff of Biaka University Institute of Boya. The audacity to be different. Now, at 10, we are talking about a revolution that seeks to oust a sitting president. Do you need authorization from the government to engage, to want to unseat that same government?
It depends the context. It depends the context, because I will still say that in 2017, what I expected the opposition parties, if they were that genuine and had the interest for the population of Cameroon, would have declined for going in on that 2017 election, 18 election rather. I don't know if you understand me, but they didn't. So if you look at this thing critically well, I have said before that if the government does not, in its capacity, resolve the conflict in those two regions, it's going to spread in the entire country. So this kind of iotas of manifestations is a sign to tell you that they want to capitalize on what is already existing in the northwest and the southwest and in the far north, to cause this kind of sparks around Cameroon, whereby the government become really vulnerable. But at the end of the day, where does it leave the Cameroonian? The kind of leaders that I expect the youth to stand behind are Pan-Africanist alternatives, people who can bring the kind of change that befits the spirit of the Cameroonians, and not people who have personal interests. If Kamto wants to rally people, I will advise him to call on all the religious leaders, all the opposition leaders, to stand with him and let them go out on the street, and the youth can then decide to follow them from behind. But the point where, in the context in which I see, knowing that the motive behind whether to outseek the incumbent president or to bring a protest whereby it will vibrate the country, it is not because Kamto wants to claim the sovereignty of Cameroon, of Cameroonians, no. So at the end of the day, like I still said, Cameroon is like an elephant that these people feel that they have a share in it. But Cameroon is for Cameroonians, and Cameroonians should go behind leaders that are able to give the right to self-determination, where the Cameroonians can see their dreams come true. Those are the kind of leaders where your life worth dying for, because at the end of the day, every man is going to leave this world, but let your life, let something that is going to take your life be fit, and let it be worthy to take your life. For a man who has his own personal interest, like I'm still saying, there is no need. When we use the word personal interest, you should be able to judge his motive for why he's calling out for a national protest. We are living in a country where we don't own a currency. We are still having been enslaved from a history of a colonial rule, which still affects and destabilizes us today. For 40 years, or since the 60s to where we are today, we are still adults that are still using diapers. We have not been able to live as an independent people and a mature people. We still behave like children, including our political structures, are not there for the common good of the people. And that is why I keep saying that, Mr. Liu, these are systems that are designed to deny its own people. And I still say the 15% against the 85%. It is time where the Cameroonians must understand that the warfare is being fought at the level of the global front. You see what is happening today in Zimbabwe, where after Mugabe for 2 decades took a land that was owned by black people, took it away from white people who were doing farming and exploiting the land in Zimbabwe. Today a new president has come in and is calling back for a reform and paying billions to the farmers that lost their lands, and calling them back to come and take land, because at the level of the IMF and the World Bank, he has been conditioned that they cannot borrow him money, because his own natural reserves are being held by his colonial master, and only 15% is given to him. And you cannot develop a country when you only have 15% and you have millions of people to feed them. At the end of the day, you indebt your country and the citizens enter into poverty. So what am I simply trying to say here? Cameroonians should go behind a leader that will bring a sovereignty to Cameroon. They say there are 193 states in the United Nations that have sovereignty, including all the other African member states, but yet we are considered as a third world nation because we don't appear at the level of the United Nations as a sovereign people, because we are still held down by our colonial master and we still pay taxes to them. So the kind of leaders I think that my life should be able to worth him for being in power, or the one that the youth is supposed to go and risk the life of their own great-grandchildren that are coming behind. It's a leader that is going to come and liberate Cameroon, and liberate Cameroon to join the African Union to its liberation, because we are coming from a history ever since this crisis has begun, Mr. Leo, in Cameroon, where we are talking of English Cameroon and French Cameroon, which we understand that these are all a destabilization from a colonial rule. I have never seen any one white man that has died in this conflict. You go into all your prisons in Cameroon, they are all your own black brothers that are there. Go into the same Western land where the white man left and came here and destabilized you. It's still your own brothers that still populate those prisons. Go to America, the same thing. It is time where Cameroonians must understand that it is not a time where you need to depend on the EU or the Swiss or the United Nations. It is a time where you need to take your own destiny into your own hand and decide the kind of leader to stand behind.
Okay. No, you seemingly did not answer my question, eh? My question, no, okay. you answer.
All
the
right.
question is, everybody is talking about the fact that the government has banned public manifestations and meetings in Douala, in Yaoundé, in Bafoussam. Yes, and people are saying that it is undemocratic. My question is, which government will authorize you to come and unseat it?
Good question, Mr. Leo. Nobody.
Because the intention is clear that we want to.
Mr. Leo, I said it before now, and I said, if the objective of the march was coded, and now you take the government by surprise on the 22, it's okay. But you don't tell somebody that wait for me at 1 p.m. on Saturday, I'm coming to break into your house and kill you. Nobody will stay. But I think that, like, militants of the party call him a stratege, and they maybe feel that he has his reasons for doing so. Before now, I said this, Mr. Leo, that individually, I've not spoken with the president of the party, the CRM, Professor Maurice Kamto, and his objectives of 22 is very clear, because the message is, we are coming to march and oust the president, whom to them has been a dictator for long, and people like. Because when you look at a glaring example, look at somebody like Edith Kawala, a president of CPP. The stance of a movement where she is part, and even one of the main leaders, is clear. No to elections, yes to political transition. Now, if somebody comes with an idea to oust, because there's something you had Prof. Mark Anthony, that they've not made their stance. But connotatively, we could denote that if somebody believes that political transition is a way out of the crisis, she has been saying it authoritatively, Edith Kawala, as she's told me. Now, it's very clear, it's to oust. It means that on the 22, her own movement or her own party is not coming to ask or negotiate. They are coming to act. And when you also look at it, Mr. Leo, a majority of these political parties that have already endorsed the idea of the CRM are members of the Stand Up for Cameroon. So when you look into it, it is something that is cooking. The 22nd of September is very pregnant. But you do not expect a government to authorize you to come and remove him from power. It has never happened in no country. You cannot tell me that, okay, Prince, give me money, let me buy a rope or a gun that I'll use to shoot you. So telling the government to authorize a manifestation that is meant to unseat the same government is like telling somebody that give me a gun because I'll use that same gun to kill you. So there is need for the CRM, the professor, his militants, is somebody whose academic prowess I don't doubt, is somebody who has been with the regime, has worked with the regime for long, and if he says so, he actually knows on what he's counting, and he knows what he wants to do. Another example was the fact that, remember the last time that he did a tour in the diaspora, when he came back, the day that the professor, the day that they were actually waiting for him at the airport, he wasn't there, he was already in Douala. I actually covered that event at Grand Moulin, where I was with him. So it's somebody who has his own ways. But like I said, the 22 or before the 22 or after the 22 is a pregnant day. Developments are every year. It's very pregnant. Developments are there, and as days go by, we are waiting. Cameroon has had two presidents, Ahijo and now President Paul Biya. It has, in most countries where there has been a coup d'etat, if the 6th of April 1984 went to history that there was a coup d'etat that failed, because that was actually the history I was taught in school, then maybe the 22nd of September may also go down on history, either that there was a coup d'etat that was organized and the president was either ousted or it failed. So it is a history-making event. Let us wait and actually see. But I still want to believe. Somebody who's watching me or listening to me may feel that I'm chicken-hearted because many people know me to be a daring person. But when I am using the relationships that I have, and from what I'm reading, that awaits Cameroonians. If we have a government, we are 4 years into the Anglophone crisis. If the president wants to solve the crisis tomorrow, he solves it. But if the crisis has been ongoing for years and there is Bamenda Clean that has been extended, what about somebody who is coming to say the objective is, I don't want you to be again at Etude?
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm watching from Malaysia. I want to say that for Mr. Kamto to announce his protest shows a big sign of weakness, and there is nothing to debate about. We have known him as a toothless bulldog. Good evening to you. This one says, good evening, guys. The government didn't have any heart. If you are against them, your life is short. Take an example of those bike riders in Douala and nowhere to be found. So any person going out on the 22nd to protest should cry. He who had died before that day. Frankie P is writing from Kumba. Good evening to you, Frankie. Good evening to you in the studio. Let Mr. Kamto don't lead stupid majority to the streets to lose their lives for no just cause. I'm Clapton from Three Corners, Fiangu in Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Liu. You guys are really awesome. Paul Biya is a lion that can only be killed. There is absolutely no way to eject him from power except that Joseph is writing from Dubai. Good evening, sir. CPDM has two weapons, corruption and force. They have been using it for 34 years to destroy the image of Cameroon. Let us kill fear and save our country. Okay. Mr. Liu, good evening. I support Kamto. I'm joining him. This system must collapse. It's history. Bobby is writing from Aboya. Good evening to you, Bobby. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. It would be good if Kamto can place his families in front of the match pass. Isapa is writing from Kumbatu. Kumba second queue. Good evening, House. I am Pastor Ayuk Oscar from Nigeria. Prof. Kamto is having a secret agenda that he has not told the people the truth of what he wants to do. But what I have to say is that I would not like anybody to stand behind this kind of a thing if you don't know where he is leading you to, because you may be used as a shield to fulfill his personal agenda. Okay. Good evening to you in the studio. What I want to say is I don't know who those guys are calling on sympathizers of MRC not to go out. If you are afraid, then allow those who are courageous to go out and bring the change. Philip is writing from Kumba. Philip, everybody has to come out there, even in Kumba. So, good evening, Mr. Liu. Your panelists are really afraid to lose something. Kamto is right. Livinus is writing from Jakiri. Hello Léo, good debate. C'est étrange de voir des anglophones qui supportent le lockdown au Nozo être contre les actes de Kamto. Simo écrit depuis l'Italie. Ok, c'est aussi étrange pour moi, Simo. Good evening to you guys in the studio. Have a father that do not have car for his children because he thinks he is the matter of all, likewise God who created us have not done so. Well, the judgment day is not far. Pascal writing from Bamenda Pascal, your message is not too clear. Good evening. Oops, not this one. Good evening, sir. Peter is writing from Bisangabang. In life, at certain moment, life and your future is worth fighting for. The situation we find ourselves today in Cameroon, if nothing is done like what Kamto is asking Cameroonians to do, we will remain where we are many years to come. Okay, thank you very much, writing from Bisangabang. Special greetings to you guys also watching us from Nyasoso, the fan club from Nyasoso. Good evening to you. Now, are people actually aware of the type of manifestation that they are supposed to engage in on the 22nd of September?
That is the issue, Mr. Leo. There is a kind of hidden agenda, because I think that the agenda would have been disclosed for people to actually know what they are going out for.
Everybody's talking about peaceful manifestation. I don't know whether people know that they need to go to the and unseat the President of the Republic.
They call it peaceful manifestation, and the purpose is to actually go and oust the president from power. Then that's no more peaceful. That's a kind of coup d'etat. And normally the military is actually a military that is in favor of the president, will protect the president. You see, I am not speaking in favor of this government of Cameroon, because the government of Cameroon is one of the in fact, from every indication, it is a failed government. But I will be sincere to tell Cameroonians that there are courageous reasons and courageous purposes to put your life into, not to put your life into foolish purposes. You already know the consequences, so struggling to stand against it is like being a fool. You see a pit and you are ready to jump inside of it, means you don't even know what you are out for. There are wealthy reasons, wealthy purposes for a person to risk his life for. A purpose that, if you dare give your life for, can change situations. Those are kind of purposes we should do. We should engage in, give our lives for. Not that you engage in something for the benefit of an individual who in the first place is not patriotic enough to make sure that he unites his country. Because such a person who has played along with power, dabbled with power, stayed in power, comes out and tells you, I formed a political party to stand against the same regime. It is not a bad thing to be in power and then you stand against it one day. But from every indication and from the outings and airings of this particular individual we are talking about, I can never for 1 second give him my support, because he says something today, the next day he says another thing, which means that he seems to be speaking from the two sides of his mouth at the same time. And in such a situation, if a Cameroonian can put his life behind a person who does not deserve trust, I will be saying that that Cameroonian is foolish. And so, Mr. Leo, it seems as if a lot of Cameroonians do not know the purpose for which they are going out. I mean it. Some of them, they are excited with the idea of, they just want to use the word peaceful manifestation, but they fail to know the purpose of that peaceful so-called peaceful manifestation, which is to go and oust the president from power. If a political party wants to take power, there is just one way, the ballot box. And if you have tried the ballot box and it didn't work, rather than be the leader of a political party, choose to be an activist, because if he was an activist talking, we would have been listening. We would have understood that he's an activist. But he is standing as a major political leader in this country and calling for Cameroonians to follow him. Some people think it is fear. No, it's not fear. It is stupidity to follow him and give your life. Because yesterday in Douala, if you notice, if some of you notice, there were gendarmes and police everywhere with cars ready to crack down anything.
Maybe that's what you think. Others think differently from the way you see things. They think that this is a time to oust the president, following Professor Maurice Kamto, who is considered as the Pope of law in Cameroon.
Wow. Mr. Leo, I don't have a problem if they consider him as a Pope of law. It's good. But if truly he is a true law addict and a Pope of law, then he should lead the people in a legal way to deal with things in this country as a first, to prove to you that there is a problem with the legality of his thoughts. If we talked of peaceful manifestation to oust a president out of power, that is an illegal activity. We claim that the constitution gives that right for Cameroonians to go to the street. Yes, but what is the purpose of that? Is it to actually go and remove a president from power? No. The moment that declaration was made, it is proof enough that it is wrongly intentioned.
Okay, it is wrongly intentioned. Atemibako. Now, what should we be expecting on the 22nd of September across the nation? Because from the communique issued to the directives given by Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration, 3 governors have been called upon to take special dispositions. The governor of the Center region, Littoral and West region. Is it to say that other areas are not supposed to raise concerns or worries to the government?
Well, I think that the government is also there to protect to keep the rule of law and order in Cameroon against this declaration of Maurice Kamto.
Yeah, but it's a nationwide call. Why limit special dispositions in Yaoundé, Douala and Bafoussam?
Well, I may not know how to answer that particular question, but I just want to go to the main topic of why he is calling out for a national protest. Like a professor there said that the motive, or you should be able to state your reasons clearly why you want people to go out. Because if you are talking of a peaceful protest, at the same time, the motive should not contradict the reason why people should go out. Because you talk at the same time, it should be peaceful, and at the same time, you want to outsit a president. There's a huge contradiction there. So I think that the writer from Nigeria actually is giving us a very good advice that we should watch out, because we may not know the hidden agenda behind. But at the end of the day, he needs the youth population, and he needs that force to go with him. But no one knows what he wants to achieve. So at the end of the day, let Cameroonians be very careful, because my point here is that I'm not saying that Cameroonians should not go out. I'm saying that they should be able to weigh the level of interest and see how it's going to benefit the entire population of this country, and weigh and know the kind of level of sacrifices that the Cameroonians are supposed to make when it comes to a call like that. So that is the way I look at it, Mr. Liu, because if it were a period of elections where you say the elections were rigged, like what we are seeing today in Belarus, we are seeing in Lebanon, and we saw also in Mali, for example, the mutiny we saw in Mali. If we were in a period of election, we can understand that, okay, Kamto is calling out people because of this, but we are not in a period of election, and this is the same similitude of what the separatist fighters have done in the northwest and in the southwest, where they want to break out a country using a very unconventional method which can draw for the next 25 years. It is the same thing. You leave all election period which are still pending coming ahead for you to mobilize your people, build solidarity platform, to wait for an election to come and say, okay, this is the time where we must stand behind and outsit this individual. But you don't leave at a moment like this just out of the blues, and then you are calling out people to go out on the streets for a national protest to outsit or to bring down the incumbent government and its administrator. I think that this is plunging Cameroon again into severe, how will I call it, civil conflicts, which at the end of the day, this is not what the people of Cameroon, want. I'm only saying that if if you need the youth to go out, for example, it should be something that should be in the interest
not of one man, but for the entire country, where everybody knows that this is a time where if I don't put in my own effort, the kind of change that we are looking for at the global front, we cannot achieve it. And that should be a genuine reason for why people should go, because that is the actual core of what democracy is all about. When the people have the government, when the people are able to decide the kind of government that wants to lead them, and not when it's the government telling the people on what to do. So this is not the area which I see Kamto going, and that is why I am saying that it will not be advisable to get this youth population out on the street, knowing the consequences that will happen. Like I said before, a leader is the one who goes out and die for his sheep. We saw Jesus was out every day protesting that he wants change for the kingdom of God to come on earth, and they killed him on the street. So we need leaders who can go out and shed their blood, so that their blood can be able to cause changes to a country where tomorrow we can say, we have seen that in South Africa, where people's life till today is being mentioned in history and has shaped the life of that country today. So we want Kamto. It must not become, it's a man of 66-year-old. He's almost entering into the age period of his life where his life is signing out. And these are the young people who have not even yet begun life. They have not even yet left the families of their parents. And you are asking them to go and die for you, that at the end of the day, it is you who want to sit in that power. So I don't think that it is how a good leader is supposed to be. You should be able to die so that those youth should sit in that place where Paul Biya is sitting, and not that the youth should go and die for you to sit there. That is just my point, Mr. Liu.
That's not okay. It's Flavor. Good evening to you, and to you, Henry Daniels and Nelson Mandela, Vice Linus. Good evening to you, Jack Nui, and all of you watching us via social media in and out of Cameroon. We say we are very glad to be reading from you. Prince Joel, now what should be the focus of the opposition now, because we see consultations going on? Are we expecting to see a better organized, coordinated opposition in the days ahead?
Sure, Mr. Liu. What we are seeing now tells us that at one time political parties could unite. This is a call we had made in 2018 during the presidential elections that failed. So many reasons advanced, but one of the main reasons for my own judging was the fact that it was egocentric. Most of the leaders were, I should. Even if we go into this coalition, at the end of the day, I will be the person to head the government. But if political parties at this moment feel that the ballot box could not assist them as the president, what most Cameroonians had proposed, I was even one of them in 2018 during the presidentials. If they think that in 2020, 2 years later, a coalition can be formed to oust the president, it is politics. I'm not a politician, but I feel that if political parties see and think that the ballot box could not, so it tells you already that in the days ahead, we expect more between the opposition in Cameroon. It is very true that it is not all the political parties, because if you've read what I think the chairman of the Social Democratic Front, what he said in another media station, you even had an interview with him on Friday. Now, when you look at one of the main opposition political parties, the Social Democratic Front, as of now, their stance have not been made known yet, like for or against. But if political parties are thinking that it is time for them to come up and redeem Cameroon from what they are saying, because all their write-up is they want to redeem Cameroon from an individual who has taken the country hostage for so many years. It's to me, it's newsworthy. I'm looking at it at the fact that a child who may be born may study, or I may also tell my own child that what I studied on the 6th of April 1984, that was by history teacher told me, was an abortive coup d'etat, because he did not succeed. I may also tell my own child that what happened on the 22nd of September 2020, I was already working, and I actually covered this event, and I may even add elements to it. So they are coming together, a lot of new things. Like I'm saying, Mr. Liu, as of now, since Professor Maurice Kamto came up with this declaration, the same night we saw the Minister of Interior hold a press conference, and progressively developments are coming up every day, which means today we saw him instruct the governors of the central region, that of the littoral, and that of the west, which you asked Mr. Ebako, and like, why should it be these 3 regions and not the 10 regions? It's simple. The CRM has a greater following in Yaoundé, a greater following in Douala, and a most greater following, or the greatest following, in the west region, where the CRM leader comes from. Because when you talk with those who come from this region, it is not, I'm not preaching tribalism, but when you talk with those who come from this region, they believe that he is somebody who has been ordained by God to salvage Cameroonians, to save Cameroonians. So the 22 from today, a fellow should be watching from Boya Gills below, is saying, I think he just reminded me that we are 8 days left. 22 is not far. And tomorrow will be 7 days left. So progressively, the time is narrowing. Let us wait and see the new developments that will come up. Maybe some other political parties progressively may change their stance and back the idea. But let us wait and see what the 22 of September holds for Cameroonians. I said before, it is a very pregnant day. And once a woman is pregnant, it is true with modern technology today, you can ascertain, or they can tell you the sex of the child, but you cannot with certainty, even using a modern technology, decipher the attitude of that child. Declarations have been made on the 22 people of a political party who already have the backing of other political parties who come out. It means you already know that the sex of the child, which you could say is a boy, that the attitude of the child, which is at 22, we are still waiting to actually see what will happen on the 22. And no government will allow people to come out and take away a president.
Okay, we want to see that we have to call it quit for today's edition of the program. Thank you, Professor Mark Anthony, for coming.
Thank you, Leo. And I want to remind Cameroonians the 22nd is not far. It's just a few days from today. And you should be very cautious because your life matters a lot.
Okay. Thank you to you too, Atemi Baku. And
thank you very, very much, Mr. Leo. I finally want to say that he must not be the next president. If they have seen him as a savior to save Cameroon or to redeem Cameroon, then his blood is needed, because no covenant, no will is at force when the people are alive. They must first die for the will to be in power. So his blood will be needed if he's a savior. Thank you, Mr. Leo.
It's always a privilege being on board, Mr. Leo. There's one thing I keep saying each time I'm here, that they are doing the politics, we are holding the microphone. And like Napoleon Bonaparte once said, he prefers to stand to meet 10,000 soldiers on the street than to be confronted by a journalist. We want to believe that the CRM has its reasons for taking that decision. Somebody somewhere may have misjudged some of my utterances, maybe that he is, because that's what they always say, you have been bought over. But I just feel that is a kind of, to my own point of view, a kind of a critical analysis I'm making. A special good evening to the fan club that is watching in Susa.
In fact, I'm looking for the money. I want to be bought over. If anybody knows where the money bag is, I'm looking for it so that I can also live a better life. We want to thank you all who took time off to watch the program. Just to tell you that we hope to have on Friday revisit what is happening, the latest developments coming out from the southwest region, especially with relation to the land saga pitting the CDC, the University of Boya, and other instances. There we equally are going to be talking about the chieftaincy sagas rocking Fako division, to be precise. Meanwhile, we hope that on Thursday we are going to have Madame Walla, who is the coordinator for Stand Up for Cameroon, live on this same edition of on this program. We want to say stay blessed. Bye bye.